Right, let's keep on moving. We've got some more fast forwarding in our near future, and again, I'm hoping this clip ends up being under half an hour long without me having to split the raw footage at an awkward moment. But I somehow doubt it this time. Now, to try to just figure out where we need to be and where that is in relation to where we are now. I'm sure that sooner or later the game will tell us if we take too long to figure it out for ourselves, but it's always more satisfying to figure out. But I suppose this is the sort of game where you don't really give a damn how satisfying that sort of thing can be, especially since, as a whole, this game feels like a padded out rush job. This might not be the right elevator to go to the temple we need to be at, but maybe our current equipment will let us grab some things there that will be useful in the other sector, though that might just be wishful thinking. Right, we've still got some holograms we can scan in this area. Probably because the first time we were in this area, I didn't know we could scan them, because I somehow did not see that when we... Oh, I'm sure in the very distant past it was something especially nice to look at, but that's not the experience we've been having. And good God, Talon 4 did a much better job feeling like an interesting ruined world to explore than Aether. Again, I know there's plenty of game left to go through, but we've gone through 2 of the 3 domains, and neither of them is especially interesting to look at. And it's not like we've really seen any signs of villages or towns in the regions we've explored so far. Is it harsh of me to say that this planet has felt pretty dead, even though we've seen plenty of things alive across it that are trying to kill us? Because I have the distinct feeling that even when we manage to win this war for the Luminoth, they don't really have a planetary scale population either way. Hell, I don't think they have a population that can even be counted in the thousands, much less millions or billions. But again, it's a video game and there's only so much the game designers can manage to pull off in order to make things feel scaled appropriately, especially with GameCube hardware, and especially when fiction in general struggles so damn much scaling things up appropriately. If I'm going to try to use the speed booster to get up, it helps if I actually roll in a way that lets our momentum build as we go higher and higher. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I like how the 3D games handle the speed booster a lot better than how the 2D games did. In the 3D games, it feels genuinely in my control. In the 2D games, it was more annoying to execute and frustrating if I wanted any form of precision, to the point that it's the main reason I've never 100%ed any 2D Metroid title ever. Anyway, nice to see this planet has an elevator that takes us from one temple zone directly to the other, instead of us always having to go to the in-between sector. I doubt it's gonna be a major time saver, especially considering the keys in the dark version of the world were made expressly to slow us down in every possible way. Still, I'll take what I can get. And apparently what I get is more wasted missiles. Well, at least we didn't have to try that door more than twice. I'm kind of worried we're gonna run out of ammo trying to get an especially stubborn purple door to open, especially since each attempt takes 6 missiles. Right. Let's try going underwater again to see if I'm gonna make any more progress this time. At the very least, I remember there was a purple door down there. And look at that! Fresh kind of enemy to scan! That's a decent sign of progress, even if it's just a younger, weaker version of the other fish thing we killed. Okay, kinda feels like they're weaker at the sides than the front, like the adult, and I have no clue why. Right, now we've got a door that's going to be a very big pain to go through, since apparently I'm just not trying to unlock it from the right angle or something. We never had this issue with the first Metroid Prime, and I certainly don't recall this is going to be an issue with the third either. Really hoping we gain a lot of missiles in a hurry, because these doors are just far more draining than they should be worth. Okay, whatever that ball of light is, we can't scan it. What is that wisp even supposed to be anyway? It's certainly not a Chozo ghost like on Talon 4. This planet has nothing to do with the Chozo. Ah, so it's Dark Samus. I guess we're doing round 2. Or not. Seriously, what was with her just showing up out of nowhere, non-verbally saying, "I'm not dead yet, bitch," then exploding into particles again? Sure, it's kind of disconcerting since she is the first enemy who's been explicitly defeated in this game to come back for the very same damn game. But again, we fought Ridley multiple times in this series, and the ways those fights have gone, you'd think that each one was pretty damn definitive. Instead, he is the single most recurring foe in the franchise, and he is always treated like a major threat. So that kind of puts a damper on Dark Samus trying to hype us up for a rematch within the same damn game where we first beat her. Well, okay, we first beat her when she was the final boss of the original Metroid Prime, but she wasn't Dark Samus at that point. It was literally a post-credit stinger that you only got to see if you got 100% scans, at least if I remember correctly. She's unique to a degree, but she shares traits with both the SAX and Ridley, so she's not as big of a shock in this franchise as the game designers probably hoped she would be. Look, I get why that device was made, but it doesn't change the fact that it counts as a super weapon, and that the enemy gained control of it. If it wasn't for Samus, then the Luminoth would have already been wiped out. Now if only I had the sense that the Luminoth being wiped out would be a tragedy of some kind. At best, I can imagine that the Ing would be kind of annoying for the indistinct galactic community to have to deal with, but they are unfortunately not on the level of the Metroids or the X in terms of how scary they feel here. Here's hoping that whatever force is the main threat in Metroid Prime 4 is a good deal more intimidating than the Ing have proved to be in the only game they have showed up in. I certainly appreciate the missiles, but I'd appreciate even more. Does that make me greedy?
Recording to logbook.
It probably says something that a race of beings that can completely possess animals and people feels underwhelming to me. Possibly the fact that the image in my head for Metroids and the X might be overblown due to the number of times we've dealt with them in this franchise over the years, or possibly the fact that I've seen so many stories where monsters assimilate people into their hive mind, or just turn people into zombies, that it's kinda hard to give a damn here. It's not that those story elements are bad, Just that I've seen it so many times over the years that it's hard to feel wowed or scared by it at this point. Again, really like the way these things explode when we kill them. Probably one of the goriest things I've seen in a 3D Nintendo game. In terms of 2D, I'd say Nightmare from Metroid Fusion was pretty brutal. It makes sense that the Nintendo franchise that uses a lot of space horror elements is among the most brutal of the Nintendo titles. Though I've heard that Legend of Zelda has some surprisingly vicious moments scattered across it. One of many reasons I'm going to eventually LP that franchise to some degree or another, even if it didn't really grab me the same way that Metroid did. Well, at least I feel less nervous about running out of missiles now that we have over 30. Right. Of course you're gonna call your enemies craven savages, because you can't think of any better insults to throw at the body-snatching amorphous beasts that would get by the censors. Interesting to see that they apparently feed on their own dead, not that the game actually has moments where Samus can witness that sort of thing. That would require the enemies we kill to leave any body behind. In terms of gameplay, I know that's the case because the game designers didn't want to spend their limited processing power on something like dead bodies in the aftermath of a battle we go through. In terms of Metroid headcanon, I prefer to think it's because Samus really dislikes having to deal with some enemies, especially Ridley, over and over again. So she tries to make sure there's no chance for them to come back and be an issue for her later on. Wait, seriously? A mix of light and dark energies? I'm getting some vague StarCraft flashbacks here. Granted, it makes sense that the discount Chozo in this game have a Space Elves feel to them. After all, the Nintendo writers are pretty comfortable with that particular story trope in this series, and it's not like they wanted to get all that innovative with this game. Still, light and dark energies combining is supposed to be our next beam weapon upgrade? I assume that's going to spend ammo for both of the other Luminoth issue guns we've gained, and that I'll probably only use that tool to open doors. Excuse me for groaning before we even get it. No clue why it didn't let me scan that thing a bit quicker than that, but at least we managed to get through it. Right, another lock removed, and we've got one more in this room to deal with. Because apparently the Luminoth are just obsessed with threes, just like the Martians from the 1950s War of the Worlds movie. Bit of an odd trait for a hyper-advanced race to have, really. Sure, both the Luminoth and that version of Martian have only 3 fingers on each hand, but it's not like humanity seems all that obsessed with the number 5. Sometimes we pack things in 12. Sometimes 10, sometimes 8, and the number 9 comes up in a number of different mythologies. It's probably just another thing that I'm overthinking, but hey, sometimes overthinking things can be fun. Anyway, now that we've refilled our missiles, time to shift that device in this room a bit to let us start exploring behind the white door. We certainly don't have whatever unlocks the yellow door yet, so for now that's just another dead end. Okay, for some reason I thought there'd be 3 different paths this spinner could take us through, not just 2. Either I wasn't paying enough attention last time we were in this room, or my memory is worse than I thought it was. Ah, well, it took us to the door I was expecting it to. That's good enough for me. Right, another of the bubble tunnels. Wish I could say I find this sort of thing underwater cool, but all I can really say is I wish we had the damn gravity suit already, so we didn't have to deal with so much annoyance while underwater. Granted, we don't have to worry about drowning like in some underwater levels in various games over the years, but still, it just isn't fun to go through for extended periods of time. So of course, when Metroid Prime 2 has us go underwater, they make it as bloody troublesome as possible. Granted, I didn't have to change the course of the underwater propellers a second time here. That could have saved me a little bit of time if I just didn't bother with it. Still, I can't help wondering what kind of person would look at this kind of level design in a game that's already pretty padded out and go, yeah, this is gonna be pretty fun. Part of me wants to ask how that would somehow confuse the ing instead of just inconveniencing the player. The other realizes it probably doesn't matter. Right. So missiles are the way to go against the larger ramming fish things. The charge shot just doesn't seem to have the right kind of impact.
Recording to logbook.
Yes, we already have the dark beam. We would have never made it this far without the damn thing to open all those doors and open those portals. Well, at least they figured out it was by no means a good weapon to use against the enemy they were fighting against in this war. The bastards aren't that dumb. It still doesn't change the fact that I'm annoyed we have to use beams that require ammo of some kind when beams never have any ammo requirements in any of the other Metroid games. The closest thing I can think of to an ammo requirement were the special spots we had to stand on back in the first Metroid Prime in order to shoot the hyper beam at the final boss when it was in its final ghostly form, and the hyper beam and how it works in the next game, Metroid Prime 3. Right. So this is gonna be another one of those moments where we affect something in this world, and that has some measure of effect in the alternate version of the world. I really wish I could give a damn. Oh, I'm pretty sure it's weak at this point, but I doubt we have whatever specific weapon we need to break through it. Didn't even know that was a thing we could unlock. If only I could muster even the most sarcastic of damns to give for it. I just want this clip to end, which probably means I'm going to cut things off at an abrupt moment. Do brace yourselves ahead of time. Right, opening a portal while underwater. Hopefully this doesn't mean that the exit on the other side is going to be under some acid. Though I suppose something like that happening to us would get me to chuckle. I suppose that's something. Okay, so while there's acid in here, it isn't high enough to actually touch us when we got out of the portal. Good to know, though I possibly might have started laughing if the more brutal option was the case, which probably says something about my mental state right now. Okay, so we've got some especially annoying teleporting possessed pirates to deal with in here. Did I ask why the pirates don't have this teleportation technology in the next Metroid Prime? Because this definitely feels like something that I would have bitched about the moment we were introduced to teleporting pirates earlier in this game. I doubt it has something to do with the fact that Aether has two alternate versions of the world. We've more than established that we have to go to physical portals in order to switch from one reality to the other. And if there was a way to change which reality we're in on a whim, I would certainly expect that to become a suit upgrade. Oh, please tell me we aren't going to get a suit upgrade that lets us switch between light and dark Aether on a whim. It's bad enough that we've eventually got a suit on the way that it completely erases the damage we take from dark Aether's atmosphere. This game needs as many things as it can muster to stand out from the pack, even if at this point it stands out for many of the wrong reasons. Well, we certainly spent quite a bit of light ammo in here. Really wish I could find it in me to have felt interested in the fight itself. But once again, the healing fields neuter the Ing in such a way that it's impossible to take them seriously in their own, supposedly hostile realm. Well, shifting where this laser is pointed feels like about as good a point as any to cut the clip off again. I like keeping things under half an hour long, after all. Hopefully next time we can make some more tangible progress, but then maybe I'm just too harsh of a critic.